And we are live, all in on high school sports. Jennifer Valenti, Kurt Valenti.
Good evening and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody. First show of 2022. Hopefully it's better than 2021 in a lot of ways. But how's everything with you?
Good. Doing well. Thank you.
Good. New Year's was good?
New Year's was uneventful, but good.
No, it wasn't uneventful. New Year's Eve was a TV show. Cobra Kai, all 10 banged them right out, right into Alabama, Cincinnati, Georgia, Michigan. I mean, I went from one couch to another couch, and that was it. But a lot of TV done. Hope the holidays were good to everybody.
We didn't leave the house.
But it was definitely eventful, and then we watched a little of the Times Square stuff at night. But you know what? What do we got going on? We're back. We took a nice week, rested. Had a nice week off. By the way, Kenny Kirkpatrick, good evening all. Welcome to another episode of the greatest high school sports talk show on earth. And a happy new year to everybody.
Thank you, Kenny, and same to you.
Absolutely. So we'll talk about, obviously, sports tomorrow night. But what do we got going on for tonight?
Well, tonight we are going to welcome Coach Brian Gaccione of St. Mary of Rutherford's high school boys basketball team, their coach. So he will be joining us shortly. So we'll welcome him. That's our agenda for tonight. And some relevant topics going on in the high school sports world right now. Yeah,
you know what? Let's start with it. You know, listen, unfortunately, the COVID is back up. Kenny's saying I'm excited about bringing the show a new short segment.
Oh, I apologize. That's on the agenda as well. You know what, Kenny? I didn't have a name for it, so I have Kenny's activity on my agenda. Okay. So I didn't have. Usually we have a clever
It should be Kenny's True or False.
Yeah. Well, there
it could
you
be,
go.
Something
where
like
were
to
you
that
5
effect.
minutes ago?
Yeah, well, probably watching the Knick game, not paying attention to what you were saying. But listen. Unfortunately, it's affecting school. So obviously, if it affects school, it's going to affect the winter sports. So I guess let's start there. And we'll start with basketball. Okay, we'll talk all sports, but we're going to start with basketball. Listen, there's going to be games that get postponed, correct? I mean, it's going to happen. So in your I can't even think of the word. 2022 opinion. A lot of things going on in my mind. But in your opinion, if games are missed, all right, let's just start right out of the gate, a league championship. If for some reason, whether it's the top two teams didn't play twice or, somebody in the league has more or less games, should there still be a division champion even though there's games missing somewhere?
Well, it's not always so black and white, right? But I think in this scenario, you can't punish a team who, did get to play. I think you do still. I think that the year was a bit of an anomaly again, and I think that you do. Listen, I'm saying this, but who knows what could happen? I mean, you could have everybody. But I would think that if there was one or two teams that could have been vying for that top spot, you can't make up those games because you have, schedule restrictions. You can't play more than 3 games in a week. You can't play 3 games in a row. So there's all these restrictions that possibly prevent you from making up every game at this. Verona girls basketball has 1 game in so far.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
Teams have played 6. So I'm saying that's 5 games already to make up. We're not even taking into account whether maybe they had a COVID situation. What if an opponent, 3 of their opponents in 1 week have they could lose a lot more games. I think you just have to chalk it up to this is the type of year it was, but are you really going to take it away from a team that I don't know, there's no right or wrong answer here. I don't think you can midway through the season say we're not going to have conference champions. If we weren't going to have conference champions, I think that needed to be decided going into the season.
Right.
Will it affect state tournament seedings as well?
Yeah, well, of course. Right. That's my next thing. But just getting back to this division, so like you're saying, Verona, would you say Verona girls basketball, right?
They've only had 1 game so
far. They finished their 9-0. But somebody in the league, fortunate enough to play 17 games, they're, 14-3. That's where you're going to get to where, like you're saying, as a team, only 9 games. The other team won a lot more games. But what happens? That's why I'm saying what could the
I don't know
leagues
if
do?
you-
What
they
could the
might-
state do?
They might already have. I'm not sure what the conference like bylaws would entail, but I think you have to play a certain amount of games within your conference schedule to be in contention for the championship. So number one, you'd have to reach that quota,
Right.
and then I don't know if it goes to is it just win percentage,
Right.
yeah.
But it's interesting. And just like you're saying, now you get to a county. Are you going to get to where it's, I believe there's got to be a certain amount of games, you play. But again, there's a team, unfortunate, they're 10-0 or 9-0. Do you keep them out because they only played 9 games?
I don't know if there's going to be an exception made this year for something like that, because that's a legitimate point when it comes to the state tournament, because you do have to have a certain amount of games played in order to qualify for state tournament play. So I don't know if this year there would be some type of exception for that. But again, that would have to be decided. That's not like you can just, that would have to be decided soon. So going into the state tournament, those parameters were set, and it's fair for everybody.
But it does make it interesting, and
it's a lot to think about.
Listen,
yeah.
you hope and you want everybody to do the right thing, but then you're going to get to that part of Sis is saying, what's going on, Sis? Whoever wins the most games, winning percentage. So I guess he's saying winning percentage. He's going by winning percentage, but it's, you want everybody to do the right thing. You just don't want to get in a situation where it's like, hey, we got to get this game in because, we don't have the 10th game in. It's quirky over there. There's Kenny. Do you think if a team is unfortunate and has to sit out, they would take a lower ranked team? For example, Rutgers playing in a huge bowl game, or do you just give that team a bye in the tournament?
I don't know. I think in high school you can't necessarily go to like, oh, we already closed our brackets. Like, let's now. This team can't play. I think they would personally.
Just move them in. Well, they did in football.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Once you after first round, you can't anyway.
That's it.
But yeah. But I mean, for first round, I think once those brackets are set, those brackets are set.
Sis is saying winning percentage.
Yeah.
But again, it's just interesting, and the same thing with the states. I mean, you hopefully it's a little. When does that playoff start? Getting around March, right? End of February, March.
Yeah.
So, hopefully things are better. It's just again, you're gonna have people. You're not gonna make everybody happy. You're gonna have somebody on the side saying,
course,
and then you're gonna have another team who maybe, like if your team is just better than mine, but hey, I reached the quota of games and you haven't, and why should I not be in the playoff? Like, am I just going to let you go even though you're better? Like, it's a little quirky, but hopefully that thing works out.
See how it all plays out. It's going to be interesting for sure. And you know what? Like, teams don't just have to worry about their own shutdowns, obviously.
Of course.
Their opponents. But like, you could really have bad luck and be scheduled to play people who for a whole week, your opponents, then you're not, you're losing conditioning and game shape. You're, losing out on, just playing in general, getting to play with your team. So there's a lot of factors. It's going to be
Sis is saying, we all know there's going to be issues. Absolutely.
Of course.
One more thing I want to get to, and I know this is a big topic on our K&K show. When I get to college football, the whole coaching transfers and stuff like that, but it's something we touched on a little bit here, but I want to get into it a little more, and I'm not just going to go from public to Catholic. I'm also going to go from Catholic to public because it can happen. So my question is this transfer rule, right? Listen, we could probably talk till we're blue in the face. It's always going to be an issue. You're going to have some people who like this, don't like that, but the transfer rule now, what to do. So listen, straight truth on the show. There's some schools, whether it's Catholic or public, where, okay, you're the head coach, and you know what? I want to play for you for high school football. So whether it's, hey, we'll just use Hasbrook Heights, for example. All right? Don't know why. First school that got into my head. But Hasbrook Heights, all right? I grew up in Heights. I can go to a Catholic school, but you know what? I want to play for you. So my decision is I'm going to stay in Hasbrook Heights. 2 years down the line, you now, as the head coach, say, I have an opportunity to go to a Catholic school.
Yeah, just leave it as a general Catholic
Okay,
school.
no, okay, right, as a Catholic
Yeah.
school.
A private
You
school.
take that, you go. I wanted to play for you. Should I have that opportunity to go now to that Catholic school? You're not sitting out.
As a
Why
coach.
do I have to sit out?
Well, I think it's it's a slippery slope with the recruiting of players, so it's there has to be some type of rules about that. I understand. I think it's a valid point. Like a coach can just jump around with no what's the word I'm looking for? They don't have to sit out.
Right, there's no sit out, right.
Repercussions, right, let's say. And so it is a little unfair to the athletes in that respect. But I feel like even that has loosened a little bit in the past years, that the kids sitting out. Am I correct?
But
about
you know
that?
what? And
Wait, answer
it's
that.
loosened a little,
Yeah.
but let's just go. And again, a lot of people, and we're gonna have Coach Gaccione here. We're gonna talk. Obviously, we're Catholic school, but listen. You could go. There's a lot of coaches that go from public, school A. Now they go to school B, regardless of what it is. Better opportunity,
Public
more
to
money,
public,
public
are
to
you saying?
public.
Yeah.
Absolutely, people. I coach here. Now there's an opening there, so I'm gonna better myself. So again. I will just use Hasbro Kites again. I go with you because, okay, I'm entrusting myself in you. Now you go on till you go to school B, which is another public school. I can't go to school B, right? Because I live in Heights.
Right.
So now, but you know what? Now the person who becomes the head coach at Heights, I wouldn't play for that. I'll be honest. I wouldn't go to Heights if that person's got that job. I would have went somewhere else. So now why do I have to suffer and say, stay there with a coach I'm not going to feel comfortable with? I should be able to go now. And listen, my options are going to have to go to a Catholic school, but why can't I go and play?
This gets me back to my original point. Is there still, I thought that those restrictions had been loosened, that there wasn't really, is that sit out period still in effect?
There's still a sit out. I mean, it's not, again, it's...
I thought that you could have, there were opt-outs for that if you got certain, if you were saying you were doing it for certain reasons. I mean, there's always, listen, I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, a family might, what is wrong with a family saying, whether it's true or not in this scenario, that they want the school atmosphere, maybe it's a smaller private school, or they have smaller class sizes, or they
Right.
feel like their academic needs aren't being met, they really
Or kids just
have to
not
make
happy.
that case. Right, exactly.
Kids just not happy.
Exactly. So, I mean, they can make that case, and that would be true of, a coaching change could affect that.
It's a topic. Kenny's saying real quick, you should be able to go to a private school. If you move from the town to, if you move from town to town public school, you're allowed to play for that school. He's also saying you should have that right if your parents can afford you to go to that private school.
Right. I mean, again, so I don't know. And I think because of these issues, that's why the restrictions have been loosened a little bit, because it also needs, there was trouble, I think, making it fair and equitable across the board,
Right.
because some were allowing it, some weren't. At one point, you just had to get the AD's permission from the school you were
Right.
leaving, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So
Right, they sign off on
right.
it, then you can
so,
play.
It's then not fair, so there needs, I think that's why it's kind of loosened a little bit. But let's just hope that high school transfers does not turn into college transfers.
Right. I mean, listen, it's
The
crazy, and
college
we talked to it
transfer
on
pool is
Wednesday,
insane.
but it's insane. And it's not even like, you used to get to the transfer portal, and it was like good players.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, the kid Williams from Oklahoma, everyone's like, I want in. He's probably a Heisman favorite next year. So it's crazy. And you're right. Hopefully high school doesn't get that.
In
But
NCAA basketball, it's become a whole
yeah.
a whole separate recruiting
That's it.
section. Yeah. So we do have Coach Gaccione has joined
and
us
Sis,
in the waiting room.
we always read Sis's comments.
I don't
High
see the
school will be
comments.
heading in the NCAA direction soon. You can go protocol.
Yeah, probably.
So.
Probably right.
Okay, let's bring
unfortunately.
Coach in.
All right, let's get Coach in with us. I will admit him here.
You could introduce Coach.
I will definitely introduce Coach. Hey, Coach Gaccione, how you doing? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, Jen. Can you hear
Awesome.
me?
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. Please allow me to formally introduce you to our audience. We are joined by Coach Brian Gaccione, the boys varsity basketball coach at St. Mary's of Rutherford. He's been the head coach since, I believe, the 2011-2012 season, making this his 10th season at the helm. And he has amassed nearly 200 wins at St. Mary's alone and over 300 victories in his tenure as a varsity coach at multiple schools. His Gales are currently 5-1. And they won the Jackstone Shootout, which they hosted at St. Mary's over the holiday break, and they're fresh off a victory this evening over Pompton Lakes, right, Coach?
Literally just got off the bus 10 minutes ago and ate my dinner in 5 minutes, and told my wife to lower the Seton Hall game because I got a little podcast.
There you go.
Well,
there you go.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna tell. I don't even think I told Kurt this, but I called Coach this morning to see if he wanted to join us. I'd reached out to his AD, and he answered a phone from a suspicious number one. So thank you for taking my call, right? And then without hesitation, after I told him a little bit, he was like, "I'll make it work." So Coach, we know how busy you are, and we really appreciate you coming on.
Awesome.
Thank
I love
you.
what you guys are doing for high school sports. It's awesome.
Thank you, Coach. And just for you tonight, I don't know if you could see it, but I'm rocking it. All right? I'm rocking it tonight. I'm bringing it out. Just so you know.
I like it.
Just so you know, I'm rocking it. Kenny Kirkpatrick saying, "Welcome, Coach Gaccione. Best of luck best of luck in the 2022 season to you and your boys."
Awesome.
Thank you, Kenny. All right, so Coach, like Jen said, you've been there for a while now at St. Mary's. So I guess my first question is, how did you become the head coach there, and what made it interested for you to go to obviously such a tradition like St. Mary's?
Well, it's a funny story. I was the head coach at Indian Hills. I had just finished my first year up at Indian Hills. I had a real good team returning, and Matt Stone, who was the head coach for 16 years prior and the athletic director, who I grew up with, Matt, called me at the end of August, and he told me, with his commitment with his kids and his family time, that he was ready to give up the job, and he wanted to gauge my interest in coming to St. Mary's. So again, I'm loyal to Mr. Stone for giving me that opportunity. At the time at Indian Hills, I had little kids, and I was thinking, I was going to build something up here, and then I started thinking about being close to home, being close to my family, and the opportunity, obviously, at a small parochial school. I was a public school coach my whole life, and that attracted me, and obviously the opportunity to work for Matt. So I'm forever grateful for him for giving me that opportunity. And 11 years later, I still love it. I still have the energy and the fire that I did when I got hired.
Awesome. And the second part, can you just talk about the St. Mary's tradition basketball-wise, just in a quick overall, if you can do that real quick?
Yeah, just always had success. And Coach Stone, being there, always had good players. He obviously had some kids that played multiple sports. I think the way sports were in the daytime back when Matt was coaching, a lot of the multi-sport athletes, and he relied on a lot of football players that played both football and basketball. And then he had his share of basketball-only players. I just think the way high school sports is moving now, it's less of, the multi-sport athlete, let's say, and it's a lot of just basketball-only kids. I've been fortunate to have both, kids that play multiple sports and kids that, came to St. Mary's, with the goal of playing college basketball. So I think if you can find the balance at a small parochial school, again, where we're sharing our athletes, but at the same time, for those athletes that just concentrate on basketball, encourage them and give them an opportunity to play and hopefully see them play, at the next level.
Coach, congrats again on your holiday tournament championship. You mentioned Matt Stone before, and if I'm not mistaken, the two of you kind of put that tournament together several years ago in honor of his father. Would you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, we just had an idea of, running our own holiday tournament and making it big. And, when Matt had mentioned how much it would mean that we did something to honor his dad at the time, I said that was a no-brainer. But my biggest thing was let's keep it going, and let's, we got it up to 8 teams, and this crazy pandemic hit, and, we were even in scramble mode this year a little bit. The night before the tournament, we had a team bail out because of COVID issues, and we were able and fortunate and thankful for Lyndhurst to come join our tournament. But I think Matt, started it as the athletic director. He does such a great job, building up that tournament and trying to get quality teams in. And like I said, I kind of help get the teams, and we try to get a competitive bracket each year. It's been a little crazy the last 2 years, obviously, with COVID. We couldn't have the holiday tournament last year, but to get it back this year and then, get an opportunity to play in the finals. And then, like I said to our kids, let's win the thing, So it was great. It was a great night for St. Mary's basketball to see a lot of the alumni always come back to the tournament and support it. And again, so nice. Matt is part of the tradition, being the all-time leading scorer, obviously being in the Hall of Fame, being my former boss, and most important, being my friend.
Very
awesome.
nice.
That's awesome. Coach, you just mentioned about crazy times with COVID, and we were talking a little bit on the intro about like how it could affect the winter season, and hopefully it doesn't, and you guys have as normal as a season as you guys can. But does it change? I mean, this might sound like a crazy question, but does it change anyway, like with this schedule of like how you play kids or how you have to prepare kids? Because you might not know. You might have no practice for the next 4 days, God willing. It doesn't happen, but they say, hey, you guys are shut down. Now you're playing, next week, and you guys haven't practiced. Or the same way where, you're trying to make up games and you have to play nothing at all.
I think you bring up a great point, Kurt. And the one thing that I always tell our guys is let's just appreciate each other, appreciate the moment. For example, I was supposed to play North Arlington tomorrow. It got canceled on Sunday night, and I was able to pick up Pompton Lakes on Monday. And it's important to have an administration that's flexible. The same stuff happened last year. I think we were playing a funny story. We were supposed to play Hasbrook Heights at 7. So my players showed up, and they said, "What's up, Coach? Why is Don Bosco here?" I said, "Well, we're playing Don Bosco." So it was a little different in the scouting report. We went from preparing for 6'1", 6'2" centers, and then 2 6'8" walked in our gym. But I tell the story because it's like you said, Kurt. It's changing times. It's being able to adjust. And the one thing that we're fortunate at St. Mary's, because we've dealt a little bit where we're missing a guy for 5 days, 10 days. With quarantine, et cetera, and we're not allowed to individually talk about that. But our depth has allowed us where we tell our guys, hey, next guy up, including me. I tell my assistants,
right. You don't know.
If they tell us that, hey, Coach Gash, you have to quarantine. Well, my assistants, we're going to play. We want to play.
Yep.
And, we want to give the kids an opportunity to get to somewhat of normalcy. But the next
Coach?
2 weeks is big.
You know what, Coach? You make a great point because, like, we always talk about whether it's high school, college, or pros about players. But how many times do you see, someone's the head coach is not doing it. The offensive coordinator is now the head coach, and someone else is calling plays. It's like crazy. It's the same thing for like you're saying. We're an assistant coach now. All of a sudden, Coach Gaccione can't there. It's our show for that night. We better be ready to roll because that game's going. It's different.
And I think my staff would look forward to maybe having me sit out a game. But I tell them all the time that we let our coaches coach. So I don't think it would be a huge adjustment. I think welcome change sometimes isn't a bad thing. But I let my assistants coach. So in the case that does happen, they would feel comfortable, obviously, taking over the reins.
Coach Cislano saying, great guy, Matt Stone. He was the AD when he coached football there in 2004. And Kenny saying, Kenny works in a hospital, and he's saying, if I can give kids some strong advice from someone in medical field, strongly encourage wearing a mask anywhere in public and avoid exposure. And, you keep hearing it, but it's the truth. It hits home,
Coach, could you talk to us a little bit about your roster this year and some of your players that are having an impact for you? It seems like you have, a group of seniors for maybe some leadership, and some of your younger players are kind of leading you in the stat categories. Would you speak to that?
Yeah, that's the one thing I talked a little bit earlier with Kurt is just our depth. Again, we've used different starting lineups throughout the year, but we are deep for a small parochial school. We can go anywhere from 8 different combinations of players. We have had a lot of success with our transfers. The one thing that we like to do is if we're going to get a transfer, obviously, it's not just take anybody. It's got to be the right fit for everybody. Anytime you jump into the transfer game, it's just got to make sense. So we do have a couple transfers. Jabari Tyree is a junior transfer who's playing a lot of minutes for us. Randy Cruz is a transfer who came from Hudson Catholic, who's been doing a great job. And then LJ Falcone is a sophomore transfer. He actually played great tonight, had 16 points for us coming in off the bench. So we combine the transfers with some of our kids that got good experience. Demir Stone has been a staple for us. He's a junior. He's the football player. He's that one hybrid athlete that we have that can dominate on a football team. And what he's done for us in terms of basketball is unbelievable. I think tonight he had 7 steals.
I was going to say, he's averaging almost 5 steals a game. That's insane.
And we chart, and it's funny, Jen, because we chart everything, and Mark Novak, who's in charge of our stats, he goes over and he rewatches every game to make sure he doesn't miss any. And they're legit steals. So Demir Stone is definitely going to be a leader in the state. Julian Lavelle is a sophomore, and my son Luke Gaccione are sophomores that both started for us actually as freshmen because of a lot of people not knowing. We did start 2 freshmen last year, and for them to have that year of experience has really helped out tremendously. And then and again, we're very fortunate to have balance and depth. The one thing that I always say in high school, if you have multiple kids in the game that can score the ball, senior Josh Khalil's another one, Nick Williams is another one, Roland Thenor. I mean, I can keep naming names, but we have different combinations, and I love it because from a coaching standpoint, if we want to go small and change tempo and play fast, we can. If we want to play a little bit bigger and more of a half-court game, we can. So we have options this year.
Oh, I want to go off script. My first off script to 2022. But, sometimes we'll get students on, especially more of like the girl athletes when we ask them, because it's like a lot of times they play more like on a freshman, I guess, as on the varsity level. But when you're talking about your son and the other player, I'm not sure, I forgot his name, I'm sorry.
Julian Lavelle.
When we ask them, it's like, yeah. But as a coach, could you really see the difference from like a freshman to a sophomore year? It's just like night and day, would you say? Or
well, the one thing that I always tell people all the time, if you're a freshman these days and you're playing varsity, you've been exposed to high level. Both Julian and Luke have played, high level middle school teams, the AAU circuit. So I feel like anytime you have a freshman who's playing varsity, he's probably been exposed, or she on the girls' end has been exposed to some high level off-season stuff. That's the one thing that I feel like a lot of the freshmen that are playing nowadays, if you look across the county, you'll see it more and more. I mean, 15 years ago, it was very, very rare to have a freshman play. And our freshmen are true freshmen. They're not reclassed. They didn't do 8th grade 3 times. I joke with my wife all the time because my son was, please let me repeat 8th grade. And me and my wife had the argument. And we sent him to school, and he's a regular 9th grader. But it's not normal anymore that happens. Yep. But to have young players that play at an early age, I think the maturity of our team, as I told you, we do have some seniors, but we have a good mix of youth. So, we have a nice 2-3 year run in us.
Awesome.
Nice.
Phil Benanti, classmate of mine from Garfield High School, saying Coach Gaccione is not only a great coach, but a great teacher and an all-around great guy.
Awesome. Yes. I work at Hackensack Middle School. I think I had Phil's daughter. She was even a better student.
Yeah, great guy, great friend. Grew up, we batted 1-2 for baseball, so knew him my whole life in Garfield. And Coach Cislano was asking, is Coach related to any former players from Nutley?
No, so the Gaccione name is a popular name in Lyndhurst and Nutley. As most Italians say, somehow we're related down the line. I'm sure there's some blood there on the Gaccione side between Nutley, Lyndhurst, and Belleville. Every time I run into someone, they say, "Oh, you're cousins with," and I said, "Okay."
Okay, just okay. So my last question for you, Coach, and again, we had Coach Sheridan on, who was an awesome interview. We had Coach Johnson on, another awesome interview. And I guess my next question is, like, when we talk about football, I could be like, I could be a little spokesman. I was there for a while. I could talk about St. Mary's football, but why St. Mary's? If I was a student, she was a student, and a possible player for you. Why St. Mary's? Why should we go to St. Mary's and play basketball for Coach Gaccione and the Gales basketball program?
Well, we like to tell everybody small, Catholic, and personal. Everyone's going to know you're there. Everyone's going to know Coach Gash brought you in. All the teachers, all the staff, our new principal is going to work with you. You're going to have the opportunity to succeed in and out of the classroom. The one thing I always tell people, at a small school, you're not going to get lost. And the opportunity to play at a high level. Like I said to you, Kurt, if you were trying to play, college basketball, we've had a lot of success over the last year sending kids Division I, Division II, Division III. We've taken transfers that have panned out for us and are playing at the next level that they maybe were at Don Bosco or Bergen Catholic and they didn't want to wait. They wanted an opportunity to play right away. So, my take is we want to take the right kids, the right student athletes. Obviously, the traditional way is to bring them in as freshmen and groom them the right way. But if you're an 8th grader and you're interested in a small Catholic personal school and coaches that are going to care, I think that's the one thing, especially now, obviously, with getting football going again and Paulie trying to bring in the right student athletes. It's letting kids know that, hey, the head coach is going to care about you. And we're going to care about you not just on the field or on the court, but we're going to care about you off the field, off the court. I laugh because it's a little different living in town, but, we have late practice and I come home after teaching Hackensack all day and I'm like, okay, I got to get ready for practice. And I walk in and there's 13 kids in my house playing video games and stuff because obviously with my son being on the team, the varsity guys, they want to do homework. And I said, no video games. I see everybody's all spread out. They're doing their homework. And then you can play Xbox and all that stuff that they want to do.
That's
but
awesome.
Again, it's coaches that care. It's people that care. It's administrators that care. And I think, it could be the right fit for the right price. I mean, that's the other thing, Catholic school is expensive, but like I said, for the education you're going to get and the price, you're going to pay, it can be worth it.
Very nice. Coach, can you talk to us a little bit about your short-term goals, like for this season, and even your long-term goals as you, continue at St. Mary's?
Yeah, so we're right now we're 5-1. We're ranked 16th, I believe, in the top 25 in North Jersey. Obviously, we want to play every year to win a conference tournament. We want to make a run in the Bergen County Jamboree. 7 or 8 years ago, we took a team and got all the way to the Final Four. So we always refer back to that as a special group that, why not us? Why can't we make a run? This year we got some tough games. Actually, this Saturday night, we're playing at the Prudential Center, which is kind of cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're playing Patterson Charter at 7 o'clock at the Prudential Center. So just another experience. We're also playing at my alma mater, Caldwell University, in the Dennis Gregory Memorial Classic versus Rutherford. So that'll be a great event for our kids to play in. We schedule some high-level independents. Last year, obviously, I told you the Don Bosco story that we picked up. But this year, we're playing Saddle River Day and some good quality independents. But I think, when you look at our success, can you win a league title? It's us and Patterson Charter usually every year. Can you make a run in the Bergen County Jamboree? And then we're in the toughest state section in the state with some real high-powered teams. But, give yourself an opportunity to maybe play a state home game and take a chance in your section. So we have some goals, obviously. We're off to a great start. Our only loss was to Ramapo, who's a, top 10 team in the county. And, just get better. And like I said to you, with the whole COVID thing, let's appreciate each day and hopefully we're together for the long haul.
Coach Gaccione, we got a question from Coach Kip Finley. He's asking, is it open to fans Saturday night?
Yeah, so Saturday night, there is a link. St. Mary's will tweet out the link. It's actually expensive to go to a high school game, but it's part of their. It's a fundraiser. It's I believe it's $24. There's 5 high school games at the Prudential Center. I think they donate $4 or $5 back to the school that's playing. It's a great idea. Seton Hall plays at noon, and then there's 5 high school games after. So, we're playing, like I said, Patterson Charter, who's a top 5 team in the county. I think they've won 27 games in a row. They're on a 27-game winning streak. But it was funny because Coach Wimberly, who's a friend of mine, I said, yeah, we'll play at the Prudential Center, but you're giving up your home game. So I did good on my negotiations. So I was scheduled to play home versus Patterson Charter, but I made them. Now in 3 weeks they'll come back to St.
There you
Mary's.
go.
Nice.
Good deal. Well done.
That was part of my negotiations. And Wimberly said, no problem, we'll play anywhere. So
There you go.
I love the competitiveness.
You know what? I got to go one more time off script because now we have a basketball coach on. Because I've been saying this when we do since the football was on. I swear, like coaching all the years at St. Mary's, I wish they had the NJIC had the quote unquote playoff like they do now, where they take the 4 teams, you have a semifinal and then a final. I think that's awesome. So I was saying, and me and Jen have this conversation all the time. I think, and you be honest, because if you say it can't happen, Kurt, I swear to God, I will never mention it on this show again. I will take your word. But I think maybe not this year because, I'm saying when things get back to truly normal, I think it would be awesome for girls and boys basketball to have like a quote unquote conference tournament before a state tournament at the end of their year, where a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Is it possible?
Yeah. So Kurt, what they did start it, and actually Coach Stone was part of the brain trust behind it. They take the top 4 winners in basketball.
Okay.
So there's 4 divisions in the NJIC. And they do play a semifinal and a final.
Okay, so they do kind of what football does.
Yes,
exactly.
Okay,
all right, I like that. But just the NJIC, everybody, or just the NJIC?
So it's just an NJIC tournament of the top. But again, one of the arguments is always, well, like for example, we might if we lose to Patterson Charter, we could be the second best team in the NJIC.
Right.
But because we didn't win our conference, you can't play in it. So there's always talk about expanding it maybe to 8 teams in case one division is loaded. But as of right now, it's just
but because that's a great point, because like you're saying, the 2 best teams are on that side. Now, the 2 best teams are getting in that tournament. But is there any way possible, or am I out of my mind, that you can't have a legit regular conference tournament where everybody's in it? Just like you do in the Big East, where, winner gets, you got to figure out what it gets. But even, I just look at it as you get a team that's either, listen, I've seen this in softball where obviously it's a little different. You have that stud pitcher, but a team that the pitcher doesn't play, they're like 1-8. She comes back, boom, they get hot. Could you have a team that starts slow and now maybe they're not even a 500 team, but they're dangerous coming to conference tournament?
That's the thing with the county tournament. Like, so now the Bergen County Jamboree, which is obviously a goal of ours. Like I said, they're now putting in 24 teams. The top 8 teams get a bye, and then the bottom 16 play, and you get an opportunity to play against the big boys. So it works both ways. I love the idea of the NJIC having their tournament. Like I said, if they expand it to 8, I think it would be great. But as of right now, it's just that, and I tell our kids, like, you're playing Patterson Charter to win a league title, but you're playing for the opportunity to play for a conference title.
Yeah.
The winner of our division is going to play in the NJIC Final Four.
All right, very nice. Good to know. We didn't know that did exist in some form. Very cool.
Yes.
Coach, we have a little segment we like to do that's called Rapid Fire. So we're going to pepper you with some more, fast-paced questions, I guess.
Mark Calderio saying good evening. How's it,
hello,
Mark?
Mr.
All right, Coach. So my first one, you drive down Park Ave in Rutherford, and it's like place after place after place to eat, and you're like, oh my God. What is your favorite place to eat on Park Ave in Rutherford?
My favorite Materas, grilled chicken, fresh mutts, roasted peppers, little oil and vinegar, hard
Okay.
Italian bread.
Nice. Sounds very good. All right, Coach, I'm going to follow that up with like a Caldwell question. I actually grew up right up the hill in North Caldwell, so I'm pretty sure I saw you play in college because my father used to take me to like every Caldwell University girls and boys game at that time. And I'm going to go off script myself here. I think I might have been coached by one of your coaches. I know you played for Coach Carino, is that correct?
Yes, Coach Carino was my college coach. He's still there to this day.
He is still there. And then I think one of his assistants might have been on staff with you, Dean Johnson.
Dean Johnson is still there.
Yep.
Dean Johnson and he recruited me out of high school.
Oh, get out! You know what? He coached me for a year in high school, my last year at West Essex. So he got us out of a pinch. And I'm sure you know Bob Costello then also, right?
Yep. So I replaced Bob when Bob graduated Caldwell. I was the point guard, and a funny story about Bob, I always tease him. When I was in high school, Bobby was the point guard. So when I left, Costello said, "Well, what did you say?" I said, "Well, I know I can play here."
Very nice. I loved him as a coach. I loved both of them as coach, Dean Johnson and Coach Costello. Anyway, we're going to go to Caldwell. So now you played at Caldwell University. So who has better pizza, Bergen County or Essex County?
Ooh, I go Famous Rays. I would go Famous Rays, and believe it or not, Jen, I just found the Thinny Thin at Angelina's.
Oh, yeah, in Caldwell.
We were just talking about that the other day.
I just got, I don't know if Portnoy has visited, but that Thinny Thin at Angelina's it's a game changer. And then they told me, oh, we've been here for 25 years. I had no idea.
They're off the beaten path there a little bit.
We were talking about that the other night.
We did just bring them up the other night. Nice.
All right. So, Coach, my next one, you talked a little bit about Matt Stone and how good of a player he was in high school and stuff at St. Mary's. So, yes or no? If you were coaching Matt Stone, say now, Matt Stone was on your team, or even back then when he was playing, but you were the coach of the team. Yes or no? Regardless of what any defense could do, you're down one in a big game. Are you putting the ball in Matt Stone's hands no matter what?
Yes, no brainer.
Okay.
Nice. All right, Coach, who's your favorite NCAA basketball team?
I root for coaches. I love what Rutgers is doing right now. If I, my wife is yelling in the background. She's a Seton Hall alumnus. She's a cheerleader at Seton Hall, so she's always rooting for the Pirates. But if I said I had to root for anybody, it would be Rutgers.
All right, so my follow-up question was, who's your favorite NCAA coach?
I love Krzyzewski. I love Calipari. When Calipari was with the Nets, I was the 22-year-old assistant at Ramapo College. They were building the practice facility, so I got an opportunity to watch Cal at a young age every day at Ramapo College way back when I was 22 years old. So I root for coaches all the time. I love Jeff Van Gundy. I love listening to him speak. Billy Donovan's one of my favorites. So I kind of tend to root for coaches and where they go and follow their careers and stuff.
Very nice.
One more off script for the night. But is there anybody that you would say, like if somebody was watching you on the sideline or know of you as a coach, they would say there's a little of that college or NBA coach in you? Anybody?
Anybody that I would compare myself to?
Yeah, like that's something that you, whether it's, coaching style or demeanor of how you are on the sideline, would you say there's somebody out there?
Yeah, everybody says I'm a little animated, maybe a little Calipari in me. I have a little, I don't know if it's the Italian thing, but I definitely am animated on the sideline. I remember when Cal was with the Nets and they were all complaining, this guy coaches every possession. I think a lot of times I get called out on maybe overcoaching a little bit, but I'm just trying to get guys to play hard and fast. So I definitely am into the game. I would consider myself to be definitely animated on the sidelines.
Awesome.
Nice.
And then, Coach, your favorite NBA basketball team?
I root for the Nets. Ever since the Meadowlands, I've always.
This interview's over. We're diehard Knick fans. We don't like that word. But okay, but let me. I know, but
Not since the
yeah,
KD
okay,
thing,
but let me ask something. What is your? All right, so I got one for Coach. Do you like the fact now that they're going to have Kyrie as a quote unquote part-time player?
No, I'm not a big fan of that. I kind of wanted them all in. I was, with the whole vaccination, unvaccinated, I just fell for his teammates. I kind of like the idea that you're either all in or he's out. I don't know how this is going to work and how they're going to be able to manage it. I just think from a continuity standpoint, having your team full time all the time. I mean, these guys are playing for an NBA championship. So they had decisions to make. Again, I root for the Nets, but I was hoping Kyrie would have been all in.
Okay, and my last one, favorite football team.
I root for the Jets. I know it hurts to say, but I root for the Jets.
You know what? You just watched that game on Sunday, and you're like, Brady's gonna get him one more time. Brady's gonna get him one more time. You knew it was gonna happen. You knew it was gonna happen. But let me ask you, are you all in on Zach Wilson? Is that your guy going forward?
Yeah, I think you got to give him time. I think you got to he's so young. I mean, he looks like he's a freshman at St. Mary's right now. So I would, you got to give him a couple years, at least give him a 2 or 3 year window. Everything right now is rush. I mean, even I look at it even in high school, kids don't want to wait anymore. It's the same thing with fan bases. It's the same thing with pros. Everybody wants immediate results. And I think sometimes you got to take a step back and take some baby steps.
Coach Finley saying jet up, and Kenny saying about the Jets, they're better than the Giants, Coach. So he likes that.
All right, Coach, my last one for you. Do you hop in the drills with your kids?
No, I love to tell you I do. I do show them. I try to tell them all the time that I led the country in assists. I try to tell them to go back and look at some videos. And then usually at the end of the year, I have some of my high school clips that Coach Potter and some college clips. So when we have our team dinner over, sometimes we throw the DVD in and they start laughing at some old clips with the old shorts on.
Yeah, definitely different style, right? All right, so what is your maybe favorite drill, if you ever did hop in, or one that you did, or your favorite drill to do with your kids now?
I love it. We do a 4-on-2. We call a continuous 4-on-2 to 4-on-4 drill. So it's just an up and down tempo drill where my kids love it when I call it out we usually do it every other day, but when we do it, they get up and down, and it's continuous. Basically, it starts out as a 4-on-2, and then 2 defenders run in and join them, and it becomes a 4-on-4 continuous. So that's a drill that we've been doing since I've been at St. Mary's, and the kids really love it, and they always tell my assistants or me to jump in. So I haven't taken that offer yet.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure to have you on. We really appreciate you making the time for us.
Awesome. Thanks. I appreciate it. And like I said, I appreciate everything you're doing for high school sports. Now that Kurt's got his blue St. Mary's football shirt.
There it is, baby.
I think he's ready to come back. I'm expecting to see him now on the sidelines. Foley's got about 25 assistants. I'm sure he wants 6. Always looking for more.
Very nice. Best of luck to you the rest of the season.
Coach, awesome. Real quick, Coach Kip is saying good luck, Coach.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Coach Gaccione.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Okay. Coach Gaccione from St. Mary's.
It's our
fun guy to play for. You could just tell right out of the gate. I mean, I know of him through Coach Stone, Coach Sheridan, and stuff like that. But how do you not want to play for a guy like that?
Well, you know what? I think I know we have a little sentiment for St. Mary's with your history there, but we've had on Coach Sheridan, Coach Johnson, Coach Gaccione, and you know what? We've asked each of them, at why St. Mary's, and they've all said the same thing. But it's one thing to say it, but it comes through as genuine in all of how they coach, how they act, and how they care about their players.
And you know what? Even better when we had Kip saying, Kurt, you got to hit the sidelines again, the U. Getting, when we had those players on, Lou Saunders, Damone, like those kids coming on, they lived it, they experienced it. And, listen, it's an awesome place. It was so much fun working there, like you said, with Coach Sheridan, Coach Johnson, and Coach Gaccione on the basketball. Okay, so we are ready for Mr. Kirkpatrick's going to hit us up with something here. You came up. He gave it a name. What did you call it? Kenny's True or False? Kenny's True or False, because he's basically going to. But pay attention, because this is what won me the Jeopardy. Don't
Yeah,
know
I
what? You don't
know,
need
I know.
notes. You don't need notes.
Well, if he's gonna give us like 5 teams, I need to
But-
write them down.
But how
'cause I
awesome
can't
is that
see
for
the
them to play at
comments.
Barclay? They're
The
Prudence
Sensors,
Pru
yeah.
Center.
Yep.
Mark saying my son has a match tomorrow night at Fairlawn against Eastside. Good luck, buddy. We have Mark.
Oh, very nice.
Mark again. Reach out. We want to get the Fairlawn wrestling
Yeah,
on.
definitely. If you could send
If
us
you
the
could
contact
give us some
info,
contact
yeah,
with the coach.
For the coach, we'd love to feature them for sure.
Okay,
And
so
good luck.
Yes, good luck. So Kenny is saying, okay,
got
so
10.
one of these 5 teams is a totally made up team name. You need to pick the made up name. Team 1. I'm gonna write this down.
Oh, can you say it while you're doing
Team
it?
1 is Boiling Spring Bubblers.
Boiling. Okay. 2.
2, New Berlin Pretzels.
Oh my God. What's the third one?
The Criminals were the best.
So we got the Boiling Spring
Team 3,
Bubblers.
Winters Blizzards.
So we got the Boiling Spring Bubblers, the New Berlin Pretzels, the Winter
Blizzards.
Blizzards.
The Casper Ghosts. And Team 5. Hey, there's Carson checking in. What's up, Carson?
Hi, Carson.
Carson with a
Checking in.
big win in his bowl game over Pittsburgh. He's fired up. And Team 5, the Frankfurt Hot Dogs.
Okay.
Okay, so we are picking the one.
There's one,
I will
so-
circle it. That is false. I got mine. Tell me when you have yours.
I'm thinking.
So we are picking Boiling Spring Bubblers, New Berlin
I got
Pretzels, Winters Blizzards, Casper's Ghosts, Frankfurt Hot Dogs.
All right.
He said, Kurt, you can go first. My team that is fake, I believe, Mr. Kirkpatrick, is the Boiling Spring Bubblers. I believe they are false.
All right. And I think that the New Berlin Pretzels are not the real team.
So let's see what Mr. Kirkpatrick has
To
for
wait
us.
on the answer.
He's probably
Everybody is
double checking to
waiting.
see if it's correct, is what he's
Waiting in
doing.
it. Well, you know what? There's a delay probably for him, so he's when it's aired.
Ours are
So.
okay, so you are both wrong.
Oh, all right.
I guess
okay.
Winters
All right, so
Blizzards.
let's get
I'm
a
gonna go
sec-
Winters Blizzards.
Okay.
Is my second.
You know what? I was gonna go with Winter Blizzards. It just seemed so like, I'm gonna go with Casper Ghosts, just to be different.
I thought he mentioned the Casper Ghosts in the
I
original
did too
one.
on another one, right?
Yeah.
I know.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna say they're real.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say Winters Blizzards.
Let's just both be wrong again.
Could be the hot dogs.
Could be the hot dogs.
Jenny Hoops got it.
All right. On a second try. Very nice. That was a
So
good
wait,
one,
you
Kenny.
picked-
Thank you. Well, first I picked the pretzels,
Oh.
then I picked the ghosts.
Ooh, okay. Ghosts
Yeah.
are fake.
But
I thought he
remember,
said that.
well, you know it's probably a different ghost one.
Yeah.
Or something with Casper. Yeah.
Sis is saying she's cheating as always. Who's cheating, sis?
He's
Who?
che- yeah,
Is it cheating or just Kenny's has the wrong information? But 0 points, so no points for this week.
Exactly.
No, that was
exactly.
fun. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you,
He's
Kenny.
gonna
Yeah.
hit us up a little. He said we're gonna start a nice little segment with
I
that.
like that. That was fun. That was good.
Okay, Boiling Springs, Pennsylvania. Oh, they're a Pennsylvania team. New Berlin, Illinois. Let's see.
The
Oh,
winter,
Kenny.
that's ironic.
I know,
the
in
winter
Texas.
blizzards are in Texas.
And Indiana for the hot dogs.
All right.
Kenny, sis is saying it's Kenny. Oh, he's cheating. All right, so my last thing, again, getting back to Coach Kenny, that was awesome. And Casper's in Wyoming.
Oh, but they're not the ghosts.
They're not the ghosts.
Okay.
Getting back to Coach Gaccione, I don't know. I'm telling you, I don't know. I think how awesome would it be to have a conference tournament? I really do. I just
know
think
you
it would
do.
be awesome.
Yep. I don't know.
3-day affair, you're there, boom, bring them in.
But you can't. You can't do it.
Look at Sis's comment.
Kenny Conman. You can't play 3 days in a row, and then you're making those kids play 3 days in a row and then go into their state tournament. You know, it's high school. You know, so it's a little bit different. So I like the idea. I just in theory, I just think in practicality,
Do it
it's
every
hard
other
to-
day. Do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Then you're talking about a whole scheduling thing. You know, part of the reason they added the extra thing in football, right? They have to change, they have to adjust the entire schedule. It's not that easy. It's not a bad
We
idea.
can make it work.
Maybe
We can make it work.
All right, good show tonight.
Good show tonight.
Happy New Year to
Yeah,
everybody.
I gotta just say one thing. I will comment. I'm not going to use Sis's segment, but I will just Sis's words. He said he's fraud slaying himself, but Kenny, get a nice rest because Sis is coming tomorrow night. So make sure you're rested up. Everybody, again, Happy New Year. Right.
Happy New Year, and thank you for watching.
See you guys next week.